Destination Mark.
Hey guys, how's it going? Marcelo here, and welcome to a special video. I haven't really done a video like this before, but I just found out that Tekken 2 is turning 20, and jeez, it's the first fighting game I've ever played, and with that being said, it's the first Tekken game I've ever played as well, and it's different when like Mario and Zelda and Kirby and Pokemon and all those franchises celebrate like their anniversaries, because I didn't necessarily grow up with them in the traditional sense. I mean, like, I grew up with Crash and Mario and all them for like way longer. I started playing those games way longer than I got into Nintendo games and stuff. So when like Crash and all of them celebrate their anniversaries, I feel old. And Tekken is definitely one of those franchises as well. With the fighting genre, like right alongside the platforming genre with Crash and Spyro, Tekken is something that I just hold super close to my heart. It's one of the best fighting games in my opinion. And yeah, I'm gonna do a retrospective over the entire franchise, but I'm gonna leave out a couple games. One of the most noteworthy, I guess, being Tekken Revolution, because, well, okay, when I say entire franchise, there's also like there's card games, like weird little card games that are out, like video game card games, not like physical cards, but like I've never seen those, never really played them. There's also Tekken Revolution, which is a digital game, which is very much just Tekken 6, in a way. But with that being said, yeah, I'm gonna include some spin-offs. I'll include some other games in there as well. So, yeah, let's get started. Awkward segue, but let's go. So like I just said, Tekken 2 was the first game I ever played in the Tekken series, and it would be quite a while until I actually got to go backwards and play Tekken 1. So here it is, and wow, it was like surreal to play it, because it just, you can see how it was just starting out, and it was only Tekken and like Virtua Fighter, which were like the only 3D games, fighting games out there at the time. We had Street Fighter, you had Mortal Kombat, which dominated the 2D fighting game market, but when it came to switching, once everything switched over to 3D in 95, 94, 95, 96, mainly in 95, since this game is the first one, came out in 95, and it did really good. It did super good. It looks primitive, and it kind of plays that way too. It is a little blocky. It's obvious everything's polygonal. There is a cheesiness, like a nice thing about that though, like weirdly enough. But I definitely, when it comes to like polygonal games and just how these games looked, I still prefer Tekken 2. I mainly prefer Tekken 3, but we'll get there when we get there. Tekken 1 had really great music, which I'm so glad that once we get there to Tag 2 that they paid homage to a lot of the older songs from these games that we haven't heard in a Tekken game in like a really long time, like since these games. So that's really cool. That's one thing I have to give it. The music is really good. And just everything from like the gameplay, how extensive the gameplay was and how much they could get away with in the 3D space was like actually pretty freaking revolutionary at the time. This game didn't have sidestepping though. That was a new concept come Tekken 3? I'm not sure if 2 did it. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but I want to say Tekken 3 introduced sidestepping. I'm not sure if 2 did that. Maybe 2. No, sorry. No, correction. A couple characters in Tekken 2 could sidestep, but all characters could sidestep in Tekken 3 onward. So the mechanic was fleshed out for everyone by Tekken 3. So you're kept strictly on the 2D plane, but everything is in 3D, and that's what makes it cool, because you can get away with a lot more movements, a lot more things, and I don't know, there was something about it that was just, oh, also, Heihachi. Fuck Heihachi in this game, seriously, he's the final boss, and he's hard. Even the easiest difficulty, he's hard. I only unlocked like maybe a couple, like 2 or 3 characters in this game. I know of everyone, obviously, that's in the game, but to unlock them all, that's a challenge for this game, because for some reason they made Heihachi incredibly difficult. Now, a bunch of you might go in the comments and be like, no, Heihachi was easy for me, whatever, but I mean, generally, right? Not just for anyone in particular, just, you couldn't have just beat him on the first fucking try, because that would be insane. But if you played this back in the 90s, even early 2000s, whenever you guys got around to playing it, there's no way you could have beaten Heihachi in the first try. But you have to admit that he was really difficult to beat. He would block all your moves and he would just go in and do combos on you, and it was insane. But this is the one that kickstarted everything, so I mean, that's what's amazing. So yeah, it's okay in my book. Should I give ratings? I'm not gonna do like a little effect, kind of like how I do for my film reviews. I won't have text on the screen, but I'll just give it like a quick rating, kind of like 5, kind of trash talk style. If I had to give Tekken, I'd probably give Tekken like a 3.5, because out of 5, because there was a lot of things that could be fleshed out. For its time, it did amazing. 3.5 is still a pretty good score. Because it's like okay, but it's really good at the same time. Like, it's really good, it's okay to really good. It's not incredibly well, like, put together, but it's not complete crap. So, yeah. A lot of things did get fleshed out in Tekken 2, and this isn't the copy that I owned as a kid. But actually this is the second copy that I've owned. So that, give me some credit for that, because I have a lot of, I've told you before, I have like 3 or so Crash Team Racing copies, and they're all messed up. Then I have a 4th digital copy on my PS3, so yeah. But I still have in my possession the original copy of Tekken 2, the very first one I ever played, but it's messed up to hell. So this is actually the second. I think I got it online at Blue Shell Gaming. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Anyway, this is it though. This is the first fighting game I've ever played, and I love it. It's still actually, though, funny enough, me saying I love it, it's not my complete favorite game out of the entire series. We'll get there when we get there, but it did a lot of things right. It felt more fluid. It was still a little choppy in some parts. It's like, when we get to Tekken 3, I'm going to say that the gameplay being fleshed out from Tekken 2 to Tekken 3, I guess a little more modern, would be comparable to Melee and Brawl. For Super Smash Bros. Melee, it's really good, tight gameplay and control with your characters and such when you're fighting. But even in its time, it's still a little, not choppy, but a little clunky. It's fast, but it's a little clunky for me to control anyway. That's just how I feel when I play Melee. And then when they go to Brawl, it's much more fluid. So I'm going to use that exact example here, where Tekken 2's gameplay is very much more fleshed out from Tekken 1, but it's still not. This isn't the peak of its gameplay, prowess just yet. They'll start fleshing it out more in Tekken 3. For starters, like I just said earlier, only a couple characters can sidestep in this game. Everyone can sidestep from Tekken 3 onward, but final boss is Kazuya this time around, so it's kind of the old switcheroo. You get to play as Heihachi from the get-go, and then you have to unlock Kazuya. And a lot of people, I thought I was the only one who pronounced Kazuya's name this way, but when I was younger, I used to pronounce it Kazuya. And I actually found a couple other people pronounce it that way too. But the more I listened to the characters, because no one speaks in these first 3 Tekken games, all the cutscenes and everything, it's all silent. The characters have their yelling and grunting and pain voice clips when you're fighting in the game, but in the cutscenes, everyone is like completely silent. So sometimes I can see how like the story wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to a lot of people. You would have to read the manual. Now, I did a video before on video game manuals, and that's where you'd have to read the manuals. Remember, this is the 90s. The internet is not the greatest. We didn't have Wikipedia and all that shit back then. So to get your info, it'd have to be either from like a really early weird ass, like, if there even, I don't even know if there were any at the time, gaming websites that had cheat codes and tips and tricks and shit. I didn't start, I think I said before that I saw one of my neighborhood friends showed me Cheat Planet before it was Games Radar, it was known as Cheat Planet. That was like the early 2000s, I think, like 02, 03 maybe, I think, I don't even remember. But yeah, no, if you wanted the story and everything to these kinds of games, and the games didn't exactly tell them, like in an understandable way, you'd have to read the manual, because most likely they'll have them in there. So you can read up, and pretty extensive, pretty cool. But yeah, so Kazuya is also he's not as much of a bitch as freaking Heihachi, but once it transforms into a devil, now that shit, oh my god. That was like, it blew my mind, like, oh my god, he's someone else, oh my god, he looks a little creepier, oh my god, the music changed, and the freaking, it's just blackness with infinity mirror in the background, and it looked really cool. Like, that's something I've said, like, with retro games, it's just about, you can convey a lot through atmosphere. So, the stage and the character of Devil was just so foreboding, and there wasn't, like I just said, it was blackness. This stage was blackness, the floor, a spotlight on the two of you fighting, and an infinity mirror in the background, and that's it. But they achieved so much through simplicity that, like, it made it foreboding. It wasn't just like shit going on everywhere. You're like in hell or something. Like, no, nothing like that in the slightest. And it's not like the actual like devil, like Satan. It was like Japanese devil. So there's no hell involved in any of the Tekken stuff anyway. But yeah, it was foreboding and it was insane. And I'm pretty sure that Devil made my top 10 badass boss battles. I don't remember what place it was in, but I want to say it cracked the top 5. Like, it's probably even in the top 3. I'm not sure. But Tekken 2, amazing ass game. First game I ever played of Tekken, and first fighting game I've ever played, and it's awesome. And this incarnation of Yoshimitsu, since Yoshimitsu is my favorite character, I really dig. Everyone goes for Tekken 3 Yoshimitsu, but Tekken 2 Yoshimitsu is pretty cool. Tekken 4 Yoshimitsu is probably one of my favorites. But yeah, everything in this game is just really cool. Now I have two absolute favorite Tekken games. One that's a little more modern, and another one that's more retro. And the more retro one is Tekken 3. Awesome. I pull a lot of music from Tekken 3 whenever. I'm pretty sure a good portion of the songs I use in my Digital Gaming fan-made Tekken video were pulled from Tekken 3. A lot of facts were pulled from Tekken 3. Down to the artwork, down to, there's just a lot of stuff I like about this game. It was fleshed out. They fleshed out a lot of stuff. Like I was just saying, the control-wise, it's much more fluid. Battles go by a lot quicker. Well, I'm doing because I was never always for the traditional 2 battle, like you have to win 2 battles to like win and go to the next, like to win the overall fight and go to the next, fight. So I just put it down to 1, and when you put it down to 1 and then you go from there, it goes by quick. Like, you can really knock out a bunch of health from standard attacks, mind you. And then when you just hit X to skip everything, like the little animation of you win and you're looking all badass and whatever. Even the freaking, when it says who you're fighting next, the whoever versus whoever, that screen goes by in like half a second, and that's not a bad thing. You can see who you're fighting, and it's not like it's just like small little, it's not like Tekken 1, where it's just, or is it? It's been a while. I remember it would just have like a name. No, it's not. There's a name, Tekken 2 did this too, I think. It was just the name of the character versus name of the character, or the way you're seeing it, name of the character versus name of the character. And you can read it, and even that's still readable, I mean, in hindsight, but it goes by so fast, you're like, wait, who now? And then you have to see the guy you're fighting, and you're like, oh, okay. But they have portraits, in Tekken 3, and those screens go by really quickly. So basically, if you're doing like, your story mode, your arcade mode, or whatever, hold on. The battles go by a lot quicker, and that's really cool. So, like, no time wasted, no nothing, a lot more characters to choose from. They added in Eddie Gordo, who was my second favorite Tekken character, right behind Yoshimitsu. Ogre this time around, Ogre's the main villain, I guess, the final boss in the game. And you have Ogre, and then you have True Ogre, which is his, Ogre is not his final form. It's True Ogre, and both of them are okay. I like their designs, I like the way they play, and they do kind of, it feels very much like the substitute for Devil, but you can get through those fights pretty quickly if you know what you're doing. Like, Heihachi is balls hard in the first game. Devil, Kazuya is pretty tough, but Devil puts up the true fight in Tekken 2. In this game, both Ogre and his real form True Ogre are not like utterly formidable, unless I guess you have like a harder difficulty. I don't play Tekken on the more harder difficulties, so I'm sure they have to have the harder difficulty there. So I'm pretty sure Tekken 1 and I want to say Tekken 2 didn't really have. No, I think Tekken 2 had a difficulty setting. Tekken 1 didn't, because it was just, or did it? I don't remember, but maybe it did. Who knows? But Tekken 3 I think has a difficulty setting, so maybe he's harder in those ones, in those settings, I don't know. But this is the Yoshimitsu from this game that everyone knows. It's the one portraying the live action movie. I didn't say this in the beginning of the video, but I'll actually do a little retrospective on the movies as well for Tekken. Not in this video, but in a different video. There's only a small handful, but they're all unique, I guess you could say, in their own weird way, so I'll go over those eventually. But Tekken 3, for what it's worth, is really fun. Definitely recommend it. Also linked down below to the Did You Know Gaming Tekken fanmade that I did, where a lot of facts were pulled from this game. A lot of cut characters. This is also our introduction to old Heihachi, which you can see right there. Yeah, only 2 games. He was young, now he's old. Well, technically 3, technically 4. I don't know. He's in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale and he's young. Tekken Tag 2, he's young. I guess that's a throwback to Tekken 1 and Tekken 2, Heihachi. I don't know, I'm rambling. So those are the PS1 Tekken games, and before we get to the PS2 Tekken games, there's actually one other Tekken game that's a spin-off that I want to go over. I'm not sure if this is chronological, probably not, but whatever. We have Tekken Advance on the Game Boy, and this game and one other game, actually the other 2, okay, let me just clear something up. We've got these kinds of spin-offs, and then we've got the Tekken Tag spin-offs, because those are like what you could call the main spin-offs, and then this one and a couple other games we'll be going over are not Tekken Tag spin-offs. They're like, I call them secondary spin-offs. So this is the first secondary spin-off, which is pretty much just Tekken 3 in mobile form on, you know, the Game Boy Advance. So if you have a GBA and you want to play Tekken and you don't have one of those LCD screens for the PS1, you remember those, you know, anyway, this was your answer, Tekken Advance, and there's sprites, you know, they look it looks okay. I wouldn't say it's the best, but for the Game Boy, it's actually pretty good. There's not a lot to say. It's Tekken 3 with, you know, simplified, dumbed down just a little bit to, you know, fit on. I'm not saying it's a direct port. I think they had to build everything back up. I'm pretty sure they took, in the same way that Vicarious Visions took Crash's, you know, animations from the models from the Naughty Dog games and then made them sprites for the Game Boy Crash games. I think a similar thing happened with the characters for Tekken Advance, because the characters still all play the same and it's all fine and good. Again, for Tekken, for the Game Boy Advance, this Tekken game is actually pretty okay. So yeah, it's Tekken 3 on handheld. So there you go, Tekken Advance. What I was going to say right now was these kinds of secondary spin-offs either speak for themselves or I don't have a whole lot to say about them. So we have 2 more like that, like this. So yeah. This is the one Tekken game that my mom and I would play like a lot when I was way younger, and it's Tekken Tag 1 on the PS2. And this game, now, say what you will, and I don't know if this is fact or not, but this is the first I've seen do this. It's a very common motif now in fighting games for you to do 2-on-2 tag battles. But it's in the name, Tekken Tag, I think, it's the first game I've played to do that, to have that system. But I'm pretty sure it has to be one of the first fighting games to do that in general. Because I haven't seen any fighting game, because I played Bloody Roar, I played Mortal Kombat, I played a little bit of Street Fighter, not any of the 2D games, but I've played some of those games back in the PS1 days, in that just general era of like mid to late, even early 90s fighting games. I've played a lot of those ones, and none of them ever tried to include any kind of tag concept. Even in the early 2000s, this is what, 2003 or something? No, 2001. I can't find the date. Whatever. In any case, this is the first game I've seen do this, so in my eye, this is the first game to do tag, have the concept of tag battles, 2-on-2. And it's the, gimmick for this, but it actually works, and they didn't just half-ass it, which is awesome. They take a lot of stuff from like Tekken 3, since it was the latest one at the time when they did this spin-off. So this is the first of the 2 tag spin-off games. And where was I going with that? So they took a lot from Tekken 3, seeing as that was the latest main series, mainline Tekken game, and it includes just about, if not, minus like 1 or 2, like literally 1 or 2 characters. They included almost everyone from the first 3 Tekken games, and even managed to add in a couple new ones here and there. Unknown her name is Unknown, is the main final boss of this game, and she's okay. She is pretty tough. Her gimmick is that she has this blue spirit demon frickin' wolf guy behind her with no legs, and I guess if you want something like that to compare to, there's a guy in Soul Calibur 5 that has a similar little spirit guy, wolf guy following him around. I've seen it first in Tekken Tag. Unknown had that. And her gimmick is that she only has the 1 health bar. She can't tag out with anyone. But if you see, now this is really cool. I've never seen a fighting game do this either. When you've got your health bar and the green meter goes down, you'll see a red meter which kind of also goes down too, to like indicate you were here in your bar and now you're gonna go down to here. Like there were no frames or anything, I guess you could say. I'm trying to describe it as best as I can. With the green bar, it would just go down, but the red bar would show you where you just were in your green bar, and then it would go down as well. Well, her red bar, that's the best way I can describe it. Unknown's red bar, that's the bar you have to get down. The green bar means nothing, because her health can regenerate. And that's the thing that, I have to explain some mechanics here. That's why it's gonna, it seems awkward that I'm describing it this way. But this is really ingenious, to be honest. I've never seen a fighting game do this after this. But with Unknown, or okay, let's kind of back up. In Tekken Tag, you've got your 2 characters. So if you take damage with 1 character and you tag out to your other character, your secondary character, your first character is off screen, but you can still see the bar. The 2 health bars get switched, and the main character, the first character you chose, or just whoever you tagged out, if they've taken damage, their health, the red part of their health bar will just be at a certain point, and the green bar will start to slowly refill. That's Unknown's gimmick, is that she only has her 1 health bar, but you have to get that red part down all the way. That's how you beat her, or else she'll just keep regenerating. Even though her green, because if you hit in any fighting game, if it's a green health bar, when you get the green health bar down, you win. But that's not the case with Unknown. You have to get her red health bar down. That's what makes it a little confusing at first, but that's actually a neat surprise. That's what you have to do, and it's inventive. I'm sorry if I explained it weird. I don't know how to explain things sometimes. That's the best way I can explain it. But look up gameplay. Just, if you want to, and if you request it in the comments, I'll even put down a video in the description for you. But look it up. You can see what I mean firsthand. It's really cool. That's just if you haven't played the game. If you play the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's just the best way. Even though I'm describing it weird, you still know what I'm talking about if you play the game, so awesome. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Like I said before, almost every character from the first 3 Tekken games comes back, because there are a lot of characters missing from, some characters from, I think some characters from Tekken 2, from Tekken 1, didn't make it to Tekken 2. And then everyone they introduced in Tekken 2, was there. And not everyone, not even a lot of the main cast, like Jun Kazama and all of them, didn't appear in Tekken 3. So this being the first spin-off, There is no real story. Everyone still has their own storyline, but nothing connects to anything, per se. And there's no main overarching whatever. It's just everyone's fighting, and they all have their just different endings with other characters, with relatives who are also characters, or whatever. But this is the first. So with that, they can get away with putting in whoever from the 3 games. So they included almost everyone from the 3 games in this one, and that's awesome. So I feel like I've rambled on way too long. Tekken Tag is awesome. Play it. PS2 game. First Tekken to not look polygonal, and technically, okay, if you want to count Tekken Advance, those are sprites and not 3D models, then those do look a little bit better than the polygonal models, but these models do not look polygonal at all, and they're more detailed, much more stuff. The music's cool. Yeah. So of the retro PS1 games, Tekken 3 is my favorite, and of the more modern, this came out like in 03 or 04 or something, PS2 Tekken games, Tekken 4 is my other favorite, one right after the other. Tekken 4 is my favorite, one of my other favorite games. Okay, top 3, Tekken 2, 3, and 4. Like, those are my top 3 favorite games. So Tekken 4 went for a different approach to the aesthetics and to the overall presentation. Besides Tekken 1, this game has considerably like the smallest roster of characters in the Tekken franchise. And trust me, some of these rosters, which I'll get into later, get insanely huge, like 50 plus characters. This game only has like 1/5 of that, so like 10 almost, like 12 or 15 characters, like maybe not, and that's small for a Tekken game. Probably 10. I don't even know, 12, something like that. Fucking, I don't remember, but it's a really small roster. Trust me, the roster is in the middle. All the characters in the middle, and then like you've got your 2 profile parts where you choose your character and they'll appear. But the announcer guy is much more calm. I like that announcer because the announcer changes for every Tekken game. Of the announcers, you can just tell that this dude, whoever he was, I want to say some people say, and I'm not sure if this is true, that the same guy, he sounds different in almost every one of them, but in the first 3 Tekken games, it was one guy. I think that's not exactly true because if you listen to Tekken 3's announcer, he sounds way different. I can see if Tekken 1 and Tekken 2's announcer were the same. Tekken 3's definitely does not sound like the same guy. Then again, there's effects and shit placed to his voice, so I don't know. But Tekken 4's announcer sounds way more calm, way more just... I like playing through the story mode because this is the first Tekken game to include cinematics where characters talked and there were lines of dialogue, and the story was really starting to kick up and get a little more mature. For what it's worth, I mean, you have shit like Kazuya falling down a volcano, which happened at the end of Tekken 2, so that explains why he wasn't in Tekken 3, and then he comes back in Tekken 4. And he has like not a robotic, but just more of like a red, different colored eye, and he has like all these scars and shit on him, and it's just weird. So there's a lot of where's it going with that? A lot of what? I don't know. I don't know where that thought was going, but yeah, no, Tekken 4 is awesome, and Tekken 4 is what brings one of my favorite Yoshimitsu designs right there. It's just really cool. It's that one, and then there's one other one I'll show you guys later. But for Tekken 4, the overall theme was a lot more darker. This is easily one of the darkest Tekken games. And I'm not sure if Tekken 7 will go even darker. Like, I've heard that Tekken 7 will match Tekken 4's like darkness factor in terms of the more mature story and all that, which makes sense as they're ending the Mishima Kazama saga, you know. But darker in tone. The atmosphere is very much more calm. There's more industrial themes and whatnot, and the music is also more kind of ambient. I included the airport's fight stage song in one of my top 5 videos. It was the top 5 ambient tracks. So yeah, I don't know. It again though, it does a lot with a little, because you only have a few stages to, okay, not a few stages, but you have quite a healthy amount of stages, but only a few characters, not a whole lot of characters to fight as. But it still very much feels like a Tekken game. It doesn't deviated from what made Tekken awesome. It's still a very good Tekken installment, and it's one of my favorites. So, yeah.